thank you to Minister Marcus Kidd and the men of Victory. I tell you, it's enjoyable to see these men get up and sing and lead worship. Why don't you come on and appreciate them? Come on, come on, come on. This pulpit is still smoking from Wednesday night. Why is right to walk in the light? Let's kick this series off. This is a six-part series. I am a church member. I'm a church member. And let's answer the question over the next several weeks. How does the Bible truly define church membership? Now, I know many of our local churches, they have their bylaws, they have their rules, they have their regulations. But what does the Bible say church membership is really all about? And then as we find out what the Bible says, let's be challenged to ask ourselves, am I truly a functioning church member? I'm going to ask something very special. Ushers, I'm going to ask that you help me out. And that is that you don't walk now during preaching time. It is amazing how we can sit throughout an entire first part of the service, and yet when the word goes forth, we have an urgency to walk. And what you don't realize, as we're teaching about church membership and all of that, what you don't realize is unless it's a true emergency, and you know whether it is or not, that many times Satan will cause that distraction for somebody to miss that one thing they need because you having to step over them and walk at this particular time. Amen. So I'm going to ask that you try to, my clock is ticking. Trying to stick with this clock thing. We're getting better and better. I'm having to get used to it because the clock don't lie. And Adrian, he's not like Chris. Chris will give me a little break. He won't start it till I get into my intro. Adrian done already started it, okay? You got to talk to Adrian about that. So Adrian's trying to get out so he can do his thing and come back for Michael Sneed. So I got a long way to go in a short time to get there. Y'all walk with me and track with me, okay? What you really need to do, though, quite honestly, is get the book. The book is only $5. Have you been blessed by the book? Those of you who've gotten the book. And then go ahead and pre-order the series, the 6th series. Just go ahead and pre-order it today. Here's what I want to start with. As a church, we are united by design. Now notice I used the word design. Didn't say we were united by default. We are united by God designed his church to be a unified, united body. So we're united by design. But how many of you know that just because you are designed a certain way doesn't mean you always function a certain way? Just ask GM with what they're going through. Just ask Lexus and Toyota, you know. And whenever the design doesn't do right, a lot of times you have to have a recall, so that the manufacturer can go back and look at, this is how I initially designed you, but something ain't working right. I want to tell you, over the next 6 weeks, God has called a recall on New Beginnings Community Fellowship. He has recalled us into his presence for the next 6 weeks because he's saying there are things that are happening within the body that are counterproductive to how I designed you. I need to recall you in, show you how I meant for you to function, and then put you back out there on display. And maybe when I put you back out there, you can change the sign to new and improved. Okay. The book starts with this intro. I don't even have to come up with a catchy intro. The book's intro is catchy enough itself. It's a tale of two members, Michael and Liam. They both go to the same church. They're in the same Bible study. And Michael is dedicated to the nth degree. He's what you call a persevering church member. He's in the church. He's a different kind of church member because he's going to stick it out through good, through bad, through happy and sad. Liam, however, is in the church, but he's now disengaged because he's frustrated. His name is on the roll, but he's not connected. Y'all too quiet. This is just the intro. He has the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities as the other, but something happened along the way where he is there in person, but he's absent in commitment. And so finally he just goes and he tells Michael, he says, listen, I think I'm going to make a move. Pastor hurt me. I'm a little frustrated at some things I see. I don't quite agree with everything that's going on. Now, we don't hear this kind of stuff around here. I'm just telling you what the book says. We don't have people that join one Sunday and 6 months later you asking where are they. Now, we don't have that here. We don't have leaders who say, I just don't agree with what he's doing. I don't know. Maybe God is telling me to maybe I just need to go into a prayer closet. Y'all notice how people get spiritual when they disagree with the pastor? Now, you ain't been spiritual up to that point to pray for the pastor and his direction. But as soon as he does something that you don't like, Ronell, you're going to be the only one to give me an amen today, ain't you? Because you're a pastor, you understand. Then everybody gets spiritual. Well, maybe God is telling me to make a move. And what we do is we become church hoppers. So we get mad at this church and we go to another church. We get over there and find out that that's not the perfect church, so we go to another church. Here's the problem. As soon as you find the perfect church, don't join it. Because when you join it, then it's not perfect no more. He don't have time to see me. He got too many guys around him. He can't. I used to be, I could just call him and I could see him that day. Didn't have to wait till the next day. Now Kenny got the nerve to tell me that it's at least a 3-week wait. Yeah, that's about what it is right now. But you know what amazes me? In your disgust, you can call your doctor and they'll tell you it's a month wait. And you're going to say, but can't he get me in? No, he's booked. It's going to be a month. Go on and put me down. But you ain't left your doctor. But when it comes to the church, because I can't stay here 24/7 to hear you cry about what you cried about 3 months ago because you didn't do what I told you to do 3 months ago when I showed you in the Word. Now you upset and say, now he done got all big-headed now and don't have time for me. So I'm going to leave. Liam's disengaged. And here's the problem. It's happening all over the country. Small churches, medium churches, large churches. Let me kick out the ballistics. 9 out of 10 churches in America are declining. 9 out of 10, even the big ones, they're declining. Or they are growing at a pace that's slower than their communities. But they're declining. Why? Here's why. The culture now is different. See, this is not going to have you running around church today. I was, hope you did that early on. Let's celebrate. Okay. Maybe Marcus can throw something in for you this afternoon. But here's why. The culture is different. Let me show you what statistics show. You can't lie with numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, with numbers, go to your bank account. Numbers don't lie. Okay. When you see that little negative by balance, it don't lie. You ain't a little broke. You broke. You know what I'm saying? Come on here, somebody. Numbers don't lie. Check out what it says about the culture. The builder generation, we have builders, boomers, baby boomers. I'm saying, how many of y'all know? Builders, that's pretty much World War II up to Korean War, anywhere from 1930 up to about 1956, something like that. Builders, any builders, clap your hands. Clap your hands if you're a builder. If you're a builder, okay? Okay. I'm afraid you are a builder. You're a builder. Okay. You looking around. I know you're young at heart, but you're a builder. All builders, clap your hand. You born 1930 to 1956. Thank you. Builder. Okay. Then there's the boomer and the baby boomers. 57 to about 70, 75, 77, something like that. If that's you, clap your hands. Okay, Lazanda, I see you. I see you do your thing. You sure got a lot of hair, too. I had to look twice to see was that you today. And then we have the millennials. The millennials. 1980 and up, are you in the house? I'm going to say it again. Millennials, you need to be proud. I got a future millennial pastor right here. See, God know what to quit me with at the right time. Amen. All millennials, if you're glad to be a millennial, stand up on your feet and shout up in this place. Now, let me tell you about builders and millennials. 2/3 of the builders are Christians and committed to the church. Half of boomers and baby boomers, Christians and committed to the church. 15% of millennials are Christians. The other 85% are non-Christian. They don't want to be in an organized religion. They just want love. They want everybody to love everybody. They want relationship. They don't want to be phony. They're tired of organized religion. We just want to be free to be real. And we don't want to be boxed. I know, Ronell. That's what we're dealing with, okay? We don't want to be boxed in, Pastor. Why we got to be Baptist or Methodist, man? Just, let's just be loving. Word, man. 15%. Now, what does that tell us? Here's why we got a problem. Because there's two words of why we got a problem today in today's church. Maturity and perspective. Liam was a millennial. Millennials tend not to commit. And they're more concerned about their convenience than their commitment. And when it's not convenient, then they'll walk. Because builders and boomers knows that it's easier to work out than to work through than to walk out. That's why building marriages lasted longer. Our parents didn't get divorced. They just, they dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, they go off, and let me just keep it real. Yeah, you may hear them cuss each other out, but you know what? The next day she was going to have that breakfast on the table. They wasn't going nowhere, and they done went off on each other, and it's just another day in the Frazier household. I wish I had some help up in this place. But a millennial, one fight? Oh, hell no. You done lost your mind. Nigga, you got the wrong one here. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I don't want the house. I didn't like it in the first place. And here's what's happening nationwide. Liam was upset because there were some things that he didn't like that was happening within the church, because here's what it is. Critical people lash out at the easiest target. But statistics show, and Christian psychologists and counselors show, that rarely do disgruntled church people look at themselves. Everybody else is the problem. And I want you to know, don't feel bad about the problem, because it was going on even back in Corinthians. That's why Paul wrote to the church at Corinth. They were divided, and they had some problems going on. And that's why he told them in verse 12, when we kicked it off, he had to go back and write. Corinthians is just one long letter, okay? It's just one long letter. Don't let these verses trip you up. It's just he's writing them a letter. He said, look, listen, y'all listen up. Paul said, just as the body is one and has many members. Lift your hands up and say, I'm a member. I don't care if you're a member of Antioch, Concord. Concord got the same problem. Brian Carter just told me a month and a half ago, I was telling him about something. He said, we got the same problems, Frazier, just that yours is more magnified because you're smaller. The smaller the church, the more magnified the problem. So Paul says we are one body. That means we're unified by design. We're supposed to be. But you got many members. And all the members of the body through many are one body. So it is with... For in one spirit we were all baptized into one body. He said, I don't care about your background. If you're Jew, if you're Greek, rich, you're poor, you're slaves or free. We were all made to drink of one spirit, for the body does not consist of one member, but many. Tap yourself on the chest, say, it's really not about me. So we got to the problem that we have today because too many folk are thinking that it's about them and not the body. When we remember that we're just a member of the body. Here's the premise. Here's the premise of today's message. The premise is this. The church was created to be unified, and each member has the function to promote unity, health, and love. That's your function. You are here to promote unity, health, love. I'm going to say it again. The church was created, repeat after me, this church was created to be unified. And each member has the function to promote unity, health, and love. Now touch your neighbor and say, why are you so messy? Is what you just told me promoting unity, health, and love? Because we represent Christ. We're the body. Christ is the head. If the body don't fit the head, y'all gonna help me? Then you got a disformed body. Y'all ever seen a body, little old bitty body with a big old water head? First thing you notice is that head. Christ is the head, but our problem is we're deficient and our body doesn't fit his head. Okay, you don't get it. In 1995, I had a distinct pleasure. I hope I can do it again if we ever go back. I had a chance to go to Arizona to the Super Bowl. That ain't funny. You wish you could go. Yeah. The last time the Cowboys went, I went to the Super Bowl. All right, Hunter. Don't mess up your chance to preach again. No, that's the last time they ain't gonna ever go. Okay, listen. I went to the Super Bowl. Cowboys played the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we were on a high. That's back when they were really rolling. And of course, at the time, I wasn't really down for the coach. Barry Switzer was the coach because Jerry and Jimmy had got into it because of their egos. Barry Switzer took over the team. Y'all know the whole deal. Alcohol will make you say some crazy things. That's a whole nother sermon. They got into a fight at a bar because Jerry Jones said he could get anybody to coach the Cowboys and they could go to the Super Bowl, which was absolutely crazy. Because Jimmy Johnson had came in and took a bunch of nobodies and made them somebodies. But what you learned in that lesson, here's a side note, Jerry needed Jimmy and Jimmy needed Jerry because they both haven't been the same since. Tap your neighbor and say, we need each other even though you don't want to admit it. So in comes Barry Switzer. Barry literally takes Jimmy's team, takes him to the bowl. I could see that the team was beginning to probably decline and that the window was closing on Nella. I said, so whatever I got to do, got to make this thing happen, So I went to the Super Bowl. Now let me just preface it and be honest. A lot of it was a blessing. It was a blessing because several Cowboys had enough sensitivity to the hood to say, we're tired of the promotions department sending us to Frisco and Plano to those schools. And I was serving, as an administrator in I won't say a hood school, but it was a predominantly black school. It was a black school, Adele Turner, amen. And so the connection that I had with the Cowboys called me and said, Rod, can I bring some players over to your school, speak to your, I said, absolutely. Now I'm more excited for me than the kids. Cherie, I didn't even call Leo, what's her name, downtown to promotions department to get permission. I said, yeah, we'll do it. Anyway, about 4 Cowboy players came over and we just connected. And when we connected, we began to do some things. And so at the time, middle linebacker, Robert Jones, middle linebacker. And Jeff Cope was on the team. We were in the same Bible study. I said, Jim, Robert, I really want to go to the bowl. I really do. I think we're going to make it one more time. And they said, well, look, man, I'll tell you what. We're going to hook you up. We can't necessarily say it's going to be free, but we'll hook you up. If nothing less, it'll be at cost. Anybody know anything about the Super Bowl? If you can get it at cost, that's still a deal. Other folk paying $10,000 to $15,000 to go to Super Bowl. So I had a chance to go. Right outside the Super Bowl was a theme park called the NFL Experience. I'm talking about the head fitting the body. In the NFL Experience, you could pretend like you were a football player. You could go through the drills. You could run and catch the ball. You could throw the ball to other ex-NFL players. And they had an exhibit, Mother Smith, where you could go up to your favorite player. They had a mannequin of your favorite player. And you would stick your head on top of your favorite player. And they would take a professional picture of you in the body of your favorite player. Now, being the size that I was, I probably should have picked Jim Jeffcoat. I probably should have picked somebody like Leon Lett. I probably should have picked a lineman, at the very least, Michael Irvin. But no, who did I pick? Emmitt Smith. I want to be like Emmitt, man. I want to be like Emmitt. So I went up to the picture of Emmitt, and I stuck my head on Emmitt's body and took the picture. But when I got the photo back, I never showed anybody. Why? Because it was obvious my head didn't fit Emmitt's body. Pastor Frazier, what are you trying to say? I'm saying this to you. As great as Emmitt was, and as great of a running back as he is and always will be, my deformed, deficient body didn't fit his head. Well, if that happens with me and Emmitt, what happens with NBCF and Christ? Christ is the head. But when he sticks his head on top of this body, touch somebody and tell them the picture don't look right. And it doesn't look like this body fits Christ, who is the head of the church. Something wrong with the body. So Pastor, what is, with the time you got left, what does membership really mean? I'll tell you something. Here we go. Membership means 4 things. Take. There's your sermon and a statement, if you need it. Let's go to school for a moment. Membership means, first of all, we are essential. You're essential. You're necessary. I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you feel like you're not important. You're necessary. Verse 27, now you are the body of Christ and individually members of it, and God has appointed in his church first apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then miracles, then gifts. See, he's telling you everything's within the church. Gifts of healing, helping. Pastor Frazier, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a teacher. I really can't even say you can help. Can you help? Can you help greet folk? Can you help some kids? Can you help Dana with VBS when this place is running all over with you? Can you help the pastor who is mobile but limited in his mobility? Can you carry an iPad? Let somebody say, I can help. That's a gift. In ministry, various kinds of tongues. I got some show enough prayer and praise words up in here. They can kick into that third gear, and they're going to get something done at the altar. But can you help? Can you help? The church say, I can do something because I'm essential. Here's what you need to understand. See, this is not a country club. If you read the book, sometimes people join church, and this is why young adults have a problem with church, because young adults feel like, what's in it for me? They like the flash, they like the dash, they like the screens, they like the video technology, they like the commercials. They like to be wild, but they don't want to serve. They like the revolving lights and praise and worship, the very lights, make them feel like they're in a concert hall again, which one row of those lights is $1 million, by the way. Okay. This is not a country club. Country club, you pay your dues and you get served. When I grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, first of all, I grew up in the hood. I'm not ashamed. South Oak Cliff, that's my hood. 545 Hillvale Drive, T.L. Marsalis, Mustangs, till we die. Okay? Was supposed to go to buy a story, didn't go to buy a story, okay? Went to W.H. Atwell. Okay, yeah, I can tell you went to Zoom Walk. Okay, Oliver Wendell Holmes, all of that. But we went to Atwell. Okay, now here's the thing. When I went to Atwell, I had some friends who belonged to the Oak Cliff Country Club, right on Redbird Lane. Now, let me tell you how culture changes. Right now, it ain't no big thing to be a part of that country club. But back in the day, that was it to be a part of that country club. So some of my other friends of the other persuasion I got close with, you know, hey, Rod, ask your mom if you can go to the country club. Okay. Mama, can I go to the country club with Craig Foster, some of the other folk? You know, his mom was president of the school board at that time, Jill Foster, everything. We're going to go to the country club, and then we're going to go up to the Aquarius Theater. Hey, Mom, can I have money for this? Can I have money for that? Mom's like, can you get a job? Here's what I noticed about the country club. I went in the country club trying to do things for myself, and they had to teach me, you don't lift a finger here, Rod. You're here to be served. My parents pay a monthly membership. You get served. And Anella, that's why Richie is as bougie as he is today, because Richie started out like I did, hanging with folk like that. I'm telling you, come on here, somebody. Come on here. You know what I'm saying? When Richie first joined this church, I said, Richie, what school are you going to? I'm in Cedar Hill. I would not dare go to Oak Cliff. Are you kidding? South Oak Cliff, me, Richard Coleman. Said that as a little boy. Country club, you go to get served. Church, you go to serve. And when you find people, Reverend Duncan, that join your church and my church and other churches that want to sit back and they want us to hand them everything on a platter, but they don't want to serve, that's a country club membership. And that's why you get frustrated. I'm not here to serve you. You're here to serve the church. But Pastor, I want to get to know you. I want to be your friend. You ain't got to be my friend. My job is to prepare meat for you to eat on Sunday mornings and on Wednesday night. Come on here, somebody. One of my favorite hangouts is Del Frisco's Steakhouse. Y'all know it. Another one is Hillstones and Houston's. But every time I go, I don't have to see the cook. I just want my meal to be right. If my meal is right, then Del Frisco's has done its job. I ain't got to have the cook to come out the kitchen, to come to the table and greet me. So why everybody want to be my friend? I don't know. I'm just supposed to cook it up and serve it to you. This ain't a country club. It's not a clique. It's the church. And if you are here and you are not serving, you are not a functioning biblical member according to the word. You trying to get served when you need to get up off your blessed assurance and start serving. Sitting back, I'm still trying to decide. I'm still trying to say, baby, your membership is over a year old. You are essential. You are necessary. We need you. But let me tell you what will kill the church. Comparison kills. Okay, you don't believe me? Look at just circle verse 14 through 20. Let me read it to you. See, when you start comparing what you're doing or what you're not doing to other folk, well, he ain't made me a deacon yet. I've been a minister. He ain't never asked me to lead nothing, let alone preach. But can you help? I saw a preacher friend of mine yesterday who's an excellent worship leader. I saw him at one church. He's in the hallway. I said, Alan, y'all remember Alan Parr? Some of y'all, you know, I tease him, Mr. Denzel look-alike. We were in seminary together. I said, Alan, what are you doing? What are you doing? He said, I'm working in children's ministry. He came out of the nursery. Here's a worship leader that's working behind the scenes in the nursery until such a time that he's appointed to lead worship. The last thing you need to do when you go into a church is tell the pastor what all you did in your last church, because then that sounds like you're jockeying for a position. You don't need to do that. If you gifted in that area, don't you know God is bigger than that pastor? It will come to light and you will be exalted to that position in no time. Listen, you don't believe me? Verse 14 through 20. It says, for the body does not consist of one member, but many. So if the foot should say, because I ain't the hand, I don't belong to this church. See, they had the problem way back then. He said, and that don't make you no less part of the body, because the body needs the foot and the hand. And if the ear should say, I'm not the eye, so I don't belong. Verse 17, if the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body was an ear, where would the sense of smell be? Verse 18, but as it is, God, not the pastor, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. So if all were a single member, where would the body be? With many parts with one body. Somebody got to be the hand. Somebody got to be the eye. Somebody got to be the arm. Somebody got to be the foot. Everybody, touch your neighbor, wake your neighbor up and say, you can't run everything. I'm praying about leaving. Why? He ain't using me. That ain't biblical. Not according to the gift of helps. He ain't you. No, I'm not used. First of all, I'm not using you, period. Because when you look for the pastor to use you, that's what happened. You get used. And after you get used and they through wiping you around like an old rag, then they wring you out, hang you to the side, ain't got no purpose for you, then you really feel used. You need to say, God hadn't shown me where I need to serve yet. But until he shows you, you can help. Membership is essential. Let's roll with it. Membership is distinctive. You are distinctive. You're distinctive. Verse 26 says, if one member suffers, all suffer together. Now, I need to give you the context of this, because you're thinking if one got a death, then everybody is depressed and down too. That's not what you're talking about. If one member is honored, they all rejoice together. In other words, each part of the body has work to do. Lean on your neighbor and say, you got work to do. And here's what this verse is saying. The body of the church suffers when you don't do your assignment. The body suffers. It may continue to function, but it suffers when you don't go to work. I'm talking to some folk in here today. You're not working. Marcus begged you. You're still not working. You won't return Yvette's call. You're still not working. I say to you today, if that's you, you're not a member. You're not a functioning member. Because this text says everybody, because when you don't do your part, then it doesn't function to its best ability. Why? Because your part is missing. Okay, y'all don't get it. Y'all just added an illustration. Just added an illustration. See, when your part is missing, you may be a part, it may still move on, but something missing. Okay. Everybody knows my story. Everybody knows my testimony. Okay. I got my swag, but I got my swag for a physical reason, for major surgery that I have. Okay. I have 2 major parts that are missing. Doesn't mean that I can't function. I just can't function as fully as those of you with all the parts. Okay. Anel and Dana, y'all need to keep it holy. Y'all not right. Y'all need to keep it holy. I heard you all the way up here. Okay. Oh, I'm functioning, baby. Trust me. I face what faces me. I heard you, Arnella. Y'all done made my mama turn red. Let me get back to my illustration. Shame on you. I done did all that talk about grief share. Okay, listen. One of my things that I want to do. Anybody in here got a bucket list? Got a bucket list? You know what a bucket list is? A bucket list is things that you want to do or accomplish before you kick the bucket and die and go home to be with the Lord. One of the things that I want to do, I've traveled all over. I've never been to the Holy Land. I want to go to the Holy Land. Ronell, I want to see where Jesus walked. I want to see where he served communion. I want to see, Ron, where he fed the 5,000. I want to be, Lord, I feel churchy right about now. I want to be baptized in the River Jordan, where Jesus was baptized. Now, there's only one thing about it. As I've looked into Holy Land tours, I learned something about the Holy Land. Is that in order to enjoy it to its fullest, you have to have all of your parts functioning. Because there's a lot of walking in the Holy Land. Golgotha's hill, Gethsemane, Bethlehem, the house of bread. Okay. Calvary is a walk. Okay. So what they've designed for seniors and people of limited mobility is you can take a bus tour because perhaps there's something wrong with your legs that you can't make it right to the very spot where Jesus died on the cross. Now here's you still get the experience, but you don't get it to the fullest because you got something missing. I can see the cross, but I may not be able to touch it unless somebody helps me get to it. Okay. I can see the River Jordan, but if I get baptized, I'm going to need Keith or Paul to take me down there. Why? Because I have something that's missing that's causing me to be just a little bit dysfunctional. What am I saying about the church? When you don't do your part, I wish I had some help up in this place. You got to do your part in order for this church to function to its fullest. But when you don't do your part, we become dysfunctional. Here's the other thing about playing your part. Lean on your neighbor and say, you got to do your part. Here's another thing. How many of you have ever gone to the symphony? Symphony? Or y'all know y'all went to elementary school. You may not go now as a adult, but you went to elementary school just to get out of class. Remember you got all dressed up and they had the buses all in front of the school and you decided who was going to be your symphony partner and they told you, come on here somebody, go back with me a little bit down memory lane. They told you don't bring no food and fellas, you had your little sport coat on. Sport coat was just full of snacks even though they told you don't go in the Fair Park Music Hall with no snacks. I wish I had somebody. Had a little boy in my school, there was Adele Turner, supposed to be a bougie school, leaned over to me while I said, Miss Frazier, you hungry? I said, food in this place, but I am a little hungry. What you want? I said, boy, if you don't shut your coat and hand me them M&Ms. That's a true story. Now, If you go to the symphony, I'm trying to tell you how God is the conductor. When you first go to the symphony, you see hundreds of instruments on the stage. Everybody's doing their own thing. It's called a warm-up. But one musician warms up different from another musician. And you just hear a bunch of noise. Everybody's doing their own thing. But in order for a symphony to be a true symphony, and an orchestra to be a true orchestra, at some point when it's time to get to their divine destination, the master conductor steps up on the podium, taps the podium, brings his hands up. When he does that, everything stops. But then all of a sudden, when he brings his hands down, all of those hundreds of instruments now come together to make one beautiful sound. What am I trying to say to you? When you come into the church and you try to make your own music, do your own thing, write your own piece, you can't watch the master conductor. And when Jesus and the Holy Spirit steps up on this podium to bring all of this individuality into one symphony, you're not playing your part. And what's supposed to sound like a melody now looks like a mess. Why? Because you ain't doing your part. Lean on your neighbor and say, we need your part. You don't ever see the cymbal player getting upset. He may only have one crash at the end, but he sits there and watches that music. Why? Because without that crash, there wouldn't be a musical climax. The crescendo wouldn't be a crescendo without the crash. You got to have a crash to show that you're getting to a climax. Otherwise, it's not a crescendo. Come on, I wish I had somebody. Touch somebody and say, we need your crash. Maybe you're not the soloist, but we need your crash. Membership means we're loving. Let me end it with this. I'm going to get through all this. He was right. You're essential. You're distinctive. You're supposed to be loving. You're supposed to be loving. 1 Corinthians 13 was not written as a chapter to be read at a wedding. You can do it, but that wasn't the purpose of why it was written. It was written as a tune of unity during disunity. Paul first wrote 1 Corinthians 12 to say, y'all stop doing your own thing. You're one body. Thank you, Vanessa. He says, stop doing your one thing. He says, but I got to help you understand how you're going to be able to do your one thing, because I realize it's going to get rough. So remember, Corinthians, when it's written, is one long what? It's a letter. Don't let the chapters and the verses fool you. So it's just a long letter. So he starts out by talking about your one body. Stop warring against one another. But he moves the letter on and said, now how are you going to be able to function as one body? Love. He says, your problem is you don't understand the biblical definition of love. So let me spell it out to you. Verse 3, he says, if I give away all I have, I deliver up my body to be burned, but I don't have love, I ain't gained nothing. Well, Paul, if it's going to take love for me to serve and love for me to be committed to Christ, what is love? Paul said, I'm glad you asked. Verse 4, love is patient. Just wait. Real love is patient. Why are you pushing him to get married and y'all just met? Brothers, why are you pushing her to do that thing, do that thing? Hey, Pastor, come on, man. I love her. Then y'all use this line, if you love me, you will. No, if you love me, you wouldn't ask. Okay, love is patient. Love is kind. Are y'all kind? Or do I have any folk in here that still snap? Y'all still snap? Write this down. We do not love people because they are lovable. You love them agape in spite of. So even when they don't act right toward you, Christ's love in you says, you better be glad I got Jesus. Because there was a day, oh baby, we could get it on right here in church. I broke up a fight one time in my home church in choir rehearsal. On a rainy night, 2 women at my home church got into a fight. The woman kept telling the other woman, you need to leave me alone. I'm not in the best of mood. It was the senior choir, the angelic choir. Verna knows this to be true. And they just kept passing words, and me and the other director was trying to teach the song. Next thing we know, Ruth Watson got up and whooped that woman down, Beulah Cartwright, with an umbrella. And she beat her, and water was flinging everywhere. Now, after I stopped laughing and got my composure, I sent over 2 brothers in the tenor section. I said, y'all break them up. Beulah's wig, she had a blue and a gray wig. Blue and gray, I never understood that. It was off. And Ruth stood over Beulah and said this, I shall never forget these words as a young college student. She said, I told you to leave me alone. You better ask somebody about me. I'm a big fool. Love is patient. Love is kind. Why y'all still snapping on each other over here? That's not a biblical church member. Why are you still talking about you'll get somebody told? Love does not envy. Love doesn't boast. Love is not arrogant. Are you rude? Do you come in here, excuse me? You must have it twisted. This is my seat. The church is supposed to be an entity that accepts people who aren't a part of the body. You're supposed to make this an inviting place, and yet here some visitor comes that may be praying about becoming a part of this body, and it's bad enough that the security is walking around talking to themselves about what they done did all week. Nobody greets them on the parking lot. They get here to the front door. The greeters are gossiping about what's been going on in their lives, and maybe they catch some, but they miss the others. The altar ministry is so busy trying to get somebody to be baptized when there's a soul right there that ain't had a hug or a greet. I can't help nobody. The worship leader is so spiritual trying to keep their mind on the songs. They come out the bathroom, walk right past the visitor, don't say nothing to them, but then get up in the pulpit and want to lead you in worship about God's love. That's rude. And they make their way on in here and just try to find the best seat that they can. It's supposed to be prayer and consecration. All y'all talking about what done went on all week long. Lights is low. Chris got music playing. Y'all talking instead of praying. Then somebody has the nerve to walk up and say, this is my seat, baby. I don't know who you are, but they need to tell you who I am. You know who I am. I'm Deaconess so-and-so. I'm so-and-so. Cut the titles. This text didn't say nothing about a title. God would rather for you to have a touch than a title. Everybody want to be a pastor. Everybody want to be a deacon. Everybody want to be a bishop and an apostle. Take your title off. Get your touch back. Learn how to touch somebody and stop with the titles. Because love says, yes, you in my seat, but I'm glad you're here. I'll sit somewhere else. New beginners, we're not a loving church. Here's what you guys' problem is. Let me tell you. Y'all are so relational with each other that you don't know how to love new folk or potentially new folk. Let me tell you what I do every Sunday, and Arnella will agree to this. Play softly, Aaron. I gotta wrap this up. I'll put the rest of it in next week because love also talks about how you give, too. Give up your time, give up your service. Let me tell you what I do. Yes, I may walk out with 3 guys. And it's obvious I'm the pastor. But you know what I'll do a lot of times? I will break the ranks of security to hug folk in that foyer. Now, my mind is on the sermon. And my mind is like a rolling tape bank when I come. Sometimes people mistake it. What's wrong with you? Nothing. I'm just rolling my sermon in my head. I'm not very talkative. But I understand that visitors don't know that. So I come out that super spiritual mode just to touch somebody and say, hey, how you doing? Pastor Frazier, thank you for coming here. Come in, man. No, we don't shake hands. Give me a hug, man. Great, I'll see you. Boom. But y'all so busy loving each other. Y'all don't know how to love lost folk. There's another word for love in this passage. Because after he talks about love in the 13th chapter, the 14th, and the 15th, remember it's one long letter. Chapter 16, he says, now, you express your love through your talent. Why aren't y'all serving? He says you express your love with your time. Everybody's so busy. If what you're doing is not making disciples, you got more business than what God intended for you to have. The third way you express your love is through your treasure. We shouldn't have to take a long period because chapter 16, after he talked about all that love, pray that you read it for yourself. He ends the book. He says, now concerning the collection. He ends it because he realized you can't talk to a church about cash till you first deal with their character. If you change their character, you don't have to worry about the cash. Because when he says now concerning the collection, Chris, you look it up for yourself, that word collection comes from the Greek word eulogia. Eulogia, E-U-L-O-G-I-A, is where we get the common word eulogy. Oh, I feel like teaching just 60 more seconds. So he says, because of the love that's in you that Christ has put in you, and the love you have for Christ, when it comes to the offering period is your way of speaking highly of Jesus. Okay, y'all ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. If y'all would have just said amen, I could have just sat down right now. Okay. When you go to a funeral, the main part of the funeral is the eulogy. Okay, I promise I'm through. Come on, Paul, bring me on. See, I promise. Now, devil trying to attack my body, but you a lie, devil. I'm going to get through this. The eulogy is the part, Arnella, where normally we ask the preacher to speak highly of the deceased. Now, let me be honest. Been preaching now since February 2nd, 97. I was a bootleg preacher before then. I was running from the call. I'd be on the organ, preaching, doing praise and worship, you know, just preaching. Had a rule in choir rehearsal when I was over the choir. We had to have 30-minute Bible study for choir rehearsal. That's ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I mean, I could see a 10-minute principle. I had a full sermon ready every week in Bible study. And to be in the choir, you had to be in Bible study. All it was God calling me to preach. Okay, so I started preaching. But in my years of preaching, I've done 3 types of eulogies. Watch this. There are some times where the family will ask me to eulogize somebody I don't know. But I do it as a service to the family. I speak kindly, but I can't speak too highly. I don't know. Then I've eulogized some that I somewhat knew. So I can speak kindly. I maybe can remember a story or two. I can't say they're a stranger, but it's not like I really, really know. But then that third one, I eulogized some folk that I knew just like that. And that's one of the hardest eulogies because you love that person. And you can remember story after story after story about that person. And your eulogy speaks of the relationship that you had with that person. Paul says when you have the love of Christ in you, every time the collection comes around, it's your chance to give a eulogy and speak highly about Jesus Christ in your life. What he's done, what he's doing, and what he's yet going to do. Let me tell you something. I ain't had the deacons to call members in about 3 months. You know why? Because God has shown me when I started reading this book why some of y'all won't give. You know why? Because you ain't got a eulogy. The reason why some of y'all don't give, because you don't love them. Because you don't know them. If you don't know them, you don't love them. You can't love somebody you don't know. So since you don't know Christ, you ain't got nothing high to say about Christ. Since you can't eulogize Christ, you don't give no money. Why? Because you can't speak highly with your giving. Maybe that's why you don't give, because you don't know him. But I tell you what about me. I know him. I've tried them. And I wouldn't put my life on nothing else but Jesus. Touch 3 people, tell you may not know him, but I know him. And when it comes to offering time, I'm going to pull my book out. I don't care if I got a penny or if I got $5,000. I'm going to write that check because I speak highly for it. If it had not been for God on my side, I feel a little Baptist right about now. If it hadn't been for him, the same man who can't walk up Calvary's hill can still walk. The same man who wasn't supposed to be here today can stand in the pulpit. The same man that they said wasn't going to preach no more preaches all over the country. The same man that they said may not make it another day is still living, and it's almost 10 years later. When I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me, you ain't got to beg me at offering time. You ain't got to beg me to serve because I speak highly of him. And you need to speak highly of the church. Stop putting your life, investing in other things. Put your life on Jesus. Because the church is going to be there for you when nothing else is going to be there for you. Okay, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. You know the church is like a rock. You know that. I don't care how mad you get or where you go. The church, touch 3 people, say, it's going to stand. It's going to be here. Everything else is going to fade away. But God, Jesus, and his church. Hey, little boy down in Galveston. Little boy down in Galveston years ago. Went up to a little boy I said, little boy, what you doing? He said, I'm building a sand castle. I never will forget it. Thank God for a mother who would struggle just to take me places like Galveston. Look back on it.
don't know why she did it, but she did. We go to Galveston. That's the only thing we could afford. Everybody else was going on cruises. Vanessa, everybody else was going to Florida. Mother said, baby, can't take you to Florida, but we can drive to Galveston. We can take this Texaco charge card. Oh, I remember. We're going to charge it up with gas, and we're going to pray about later how we going to pay for it when the bill come in. Maybe we can't eat the best food down there, but we can sit on the beach. That's free. Maybe we can't take a cruise ship, but we can get on the ferry that go from one side of the island to the other. That's free. So I saw a little boy on the beach. I feel like Shirley Caesar right now. The little boy was on the beach, and he was building a sand castle. I said, little boy, what you doing? He said, I'm building a sand castle. I said, well, you act like you're not happy. He said, well, every time I get it built, these 3 bullies down the beach, they keep coming over and tearing down my sand castle. I said, little boy, how many times has it happened? He said, it done happened about 3 times right now. I said, what you need to do, I got a secret for you. I said, you see that rock right next to you? He said, yes, sir. I said, take that rock, put it in the middle of the sand. Build your sand castle. I got to go. Come on, man. I got to go. I said, build your sand castle on the rock. He started putting that sand together. Put one piece of rock. He put some more sand together. Put another piece of the rock. Them bullies dunking down the beach. They saw where he had built that sand castle up. Them bullies came over there. They told me, you think you got something? He said, yeah, I got a nice one this time. That bully took his bare foot, ran back, kicked that sand castle. But when he kicked it, the sand castle didn't fall. The bully hurt himself. He said, oh my God. Little boy said, you can't knock this one over. This one is built on a rock. Pastor Frazier, what you trying to say? I feel like preaching a little bit now. Jesus said, upon this rock, I will build my church, and the very gates of hell shall not prevail against it. You can talk about the church all you want to, but the church is going to stand. You can kick against the church. You can spit on the church. You can lie on the pastor, but guess what? The church is going to stand. Jesus is the rock. Stop building your life on shifty, sandy folk. Stop building your life, ladies, on sandy Negroes. Stop building your life on shifty relationships. Let me give you a piece of advice. On Christ, the solid rock, I stand. All of the ground. I can't help myself. I done did a lot of things in my life. I done been a principal. I done been a musician. I done been a teacher. I can't help it. I'm just a good old church boy right now. I don't fit in everywhere. I can't do everything people do around the Prater. I love seeing friends when I go travel now, but I can't do everything they do. I can't go out with them. I can't party with them. I can't drink with them. Why? Because I'm on a rock now. I dare you just to hug 3 people, tell them I don't know about you, but I'm a rock member. I'm building my life on the rock. I'm building it on the rock. Stand to your feet. I'm a church member. I don't know why I'm